What is up, guys, and welcome back to another video. And today we have WWE Top 10 Crazy Fan Incidents, and probably I'm going to change the title to In Pro Wrestling because this is more of ECW, WCW, and others, but I like labeling my videos as WWE. Anyways, let's get on to the list with number 10, Woman Pulls Out a Gun. A woman was arrested because she pulled out a gun during a wrestling match in North Georgia. Why did she pull out a gun, you ask? Here's the whole story. Lee was wrestling Iron Man, and Lee tied him up and started to hit him with a chair. This woman pulls out a knife and cuts him loose, and shortly after pulls out a gun. It had one bullet in it and the safety was off. She does say he was being mean because he told her to sit her toothless self back down, but he's a heel. That's the whole point of his gimmick, is to make fun of people and act like a jerk. She took it to the extreme. Now the arena will be installing metal detectors, and I'm sure they will improve their security. Lee did say this is almost as bad as the time he got stabbed in 1992. Number 9, fan attacks Raven. Raven was probably one of the best heels ever in ECW. Paul Heyman refers to him as one of his greatest creations. Obviously, WCW took him from ECW, and like many wrestlers who did not have connections with Hulk Hogan, he floated around. However, it didn't stop a fan from doing something very memorable on an episode of Nitro. While Raven was cutting a promo on DDP, a fan pulled his hair and dragged him out of the ring through the turnbuckle. You could tell from Raven's face he was mad, but like a professional, he continued to cut his promo. It's really disrespectful what fans think they could do. Like, what? How can you just do that to a man? I would punch the shit out of him, but you know what? That's just me. Number 8, surfing Spike Dudley. What made Spike Dudley very different from many wrestlers in ECW was that he showed more heart and passion than most of his competitors. Since Spike Dudley was swimming with the hardcore wrestlers, the one thing he could do was keep fighting and hope people started to like him. And that's exactly what happened. His finisher would also help, which was called the acid drop. Well, one time Spike was fighting Bam Bam Bigelow, and it was like David versus Goliath. During the match, Bigelow threw Spike Dudley to the crowd, expecting no one to catch him, but instead they didn't let him fall. Instead, he was crowd surfing through the arena. It was one of the craziest things to ever see. Number 7, John Cena versus the New York City crowd. RVD won the Money in the Bank briefcase at WrestleMania 22. RVD would let Cena know in advance that he will be using his Money in the Bank for a one-night stand in 2006. The main event was set. It was John Cena versus RVD for the WWE Championship. The New York crowd was a bunch of hardcore ECW fans, and they were savages. They made that match 3 times better. Like, you could not watch that match without listening to the crowd. There were so many crazy things the fans did to Cena. First off, Cena was throwing his shirt to the fans like usual, and people would be happy that they caught it. Did they want it? No. And every time he threw it, they threw it back at him. It was like a hot potato. He settled and threw it outside the ring instead. There's also a big sign that said, if Cena wins, we ride. People chanted, F you Cena, Cena sucks, you can't wrestle, same old shit, etc. They kept going. I don't think there was one Cena fan in that arena. Number 6, leg as a weapon. The WWE version of ECW was a very watered down version of the old extreme hardcore ECW in the early 2000s. We were never going to see the old hardcore days ever. But one night, at a house show in Arkansas, Tommy Dreamer would do whatever he wanted. He used all sorts of weapons such as road signs and even a pie. While Tommy Dreamer was wrestling Test, a fan begged that Dreamer use his prosthetic leg, and he did that exactly. He beat up Test with it. Dreamer took it and began to bash and choke out Test. I doubt we'll ever see that again. Number 5, low blow to Randy Orton. You know how the WWE loves to advertise to not try this at home? But they never said to not try it at an arena. On July 30th, 2013, the WWE had an event in Cape Town, South Africa. Orton got onto the ropes near the turnbuckle to pose for his famous, the 2-arm thingy where he goes, I hear voices in my head. So you know what, he stretches out his arms? Yeah, he did that. But a fan decided it was a perfect time to attack him, and he gave him a low blow. Security grabbed him as fast as possible, and I feel like if they didn't, Orton would destroy him. He'd hit him with RKO, punt him in the face, and do whatever he wanted. What happened to that guy? Well, he's on probation for 3 years and is banned from attending WWE events. Number 4, gimme a chair. At any ECW show, all the sorts of crazy could happen. The fans were just as nuts as the wrestlers. After all, these were hardcore wrestlers not afraid to bleed for their art. In the early days of ECW, Heyman had employed Terry Funk, Cactus Jack, and a tag team known as a Public Enemy. The main event of Hardcore Heaven 1994 was Funk vs Cactus, which was interrupted by Public Enemy, who assaulted the Hardcore Legends. After taking out Public Enemy, the Icons asked the crowd for a chair. What happens next is one of the craziest things in ECW history, as every fan in the arena lobbed their seat into the ring bearing Public Enemy. Number 3, Anderson stabbed. A lot of old wrestlers talk about how many times they feared they would not make it out of an arena alive. I think Ole Anderson has the worst experience ever. He was a heel and known for getting the crowd riled up. We found how good of a heel he was when he saw himself at the edge of a knife. Senior citizen Oscar Ramsey stabbed him at a Mid-South show. Ole was tough enough and ended up wrestling 2 days later. Number 2, pissed off Eddie Guerrero. One day in Raw, there's a ladder match between Eddie Guerrero and RVD for the IC title. While Eddie was climbing the ladder, some fan decided to jump over the barricade and push off Eddie off the ladder, not allowing him to grab the title because he wanted to help RVD win. That fan could have seriously got Eddie hurt. Eddie was furious and he started yelling and gave him a punch right to the face. Eddie luckily landed on his feet and was safe. Number 1, craziest fan ever. Who was the craziest fan ever? That title goes to Eric Koulas, who was a 17-year-old kid who claimed to be 19 years old and trained with Killer Kowalski. Koulas somehow convinced Paul Heyman to let him fill in for Axe Rodden, who didn't show up in a house show on November 23, 1996. Heyman gave him a gimmick of a bus driver. Koulas asked New Jack to cut him open since he had no experience in the past. But New Jack cut too deep and he bled a lot. And when I mean a lot, I mean a lot. New Jack and Mustafa continued to beat up the kid even after New Jack asked if he was okay. It wasn't until Koulas' father, Steven, begged them to stop and admitted he was only 17 years old. This incident almost ran this business down to the ground and Barely Legal was almost cancelled. Luckily, Heyman got a way out of this mess. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a like, subscribe for more, and comment down on any major incident that I missed that a fan did that was pretty crazy. Also, guys, don't forget, take care and spike your hair.